Hello everyone, I'm Neat Sahone. Welcome back to Kaladesh Limited Review Week on my channel. Every time a new set comes out, I post a limited review video every day from the day it is spoiled until the pre-release. In these videos, I talk about my initial impressions about the format. Today, I continue my color-by-color review of the best commons and uncommons in the format with black. Tomorrow, I will continue with red, but for now, let's look at the best uncommons in black. Black has some pretty strong uncommons, though I do think that there are three that stand above the rest. I think the third best uncommon is Weaponcraft Enthusiast. 3 mana for 2 power and 3 toughness across 3 bodies is an incredibly good rate, and in some situations he can also just be a 3 mana 2/3, which is just what you need sometimes. Moreover, as I've been saying about Fabricate creatures in these reviews, there are a lot of payoffs for the mechanic, whether it is Artifact Matters cards, +1/+1 counters matter cards, or cards that pay you off for having a ton of creatures in play, making this card even better than it already looks. At number 2, I have Underhanded Design. This card does two different things. One of them is paying you off for playing artifacts by draining your opponent for 1 if you are willing to pay 1 generic mana. That part is nice, but if it was all the card did, it would be pretty close to unplayable in all but the most fabricatiest of decks. However, it also does something else very strong. It is an unconditional removal spell once you have 2 artifacts in play. Weaponcraft Enthusiast and Underhanded Design actually go together very well, as he provides the 2 artifacts necessary to turn on the removal ability. The Drain Life ability will of course also be relevant, especially if you can make a bunch of servos, but it is usually right to use this to kill a problem creature before trying to win the game with it on its own. At number 1, I have Essence Extraction, a very strong removal spell. Extraction is basically a bad Lightning Helix. It costs more mana and it can hit players, but a bad Lightning Helix is still an excellent card. It can kill many creatures in the format while also gaining you life to keep you alive for longer. It is the exact kind of removal spell you want. It's also instant speed, meaning you can get blowouts with it. I think both Underhanded Designs and Essence Extraction are first pickable a good amount of the time, and I could maybe even see situations where Weaponcraft Enthusiast is the correct first pick, so these uncommons are all quite strong. Black also has a lot of very good commons, so many that I wanted to make a couple of honorable mentions. Foundry Screecher passes the vanilla test by being a 3 mana 2/1 flyer, and would probably be a solid playable if that was all there was to it. But it also gets +1/+0 if you control an artifact. Controlling an artifact won't be very hard to do, especially in black, because there are lots of cards with Fabricate in the color. It won't be unusual for this to be a 3/1 flyer, something your opponent has to worry a lot more about than a 2/1 flyer. Subtle Strike is another card I like. It reminds me a little bit of Borrowed Malevolence from Eldritch Moon, a solid common that usually made the cut, but I think this might even be better. For 2 mana, you can kill an X1, say a Foundry Screecher for example, and put a +1/+1 counter on your guy. You can of course also set up a block that you make into your favor by producing a swing of 2 power and 2 toughness with the card. Both of these are strong black commons, but I think there are actually 3 that are better. So the third best black uncommon in this format is Lawless Broker. For 3 mana, you get a 3/2, and he has a very good death trigger. He gives a +1/+1 counter to a creature you control. +1/+1 counters is part of an archetype, especially for, I believe, the black-green deck seems to be the most obsessed with +1/+1 counters in this format, and so it's good in that deck especially, but it's good anywhere. I mean, a 3 mana 3/2 that makes one of your guys bigger when it dies is always a good card. We saw that with Bolster back in the death triggers that bolstered back in Dragons of Tarkir, and Lawless Broker is good because of that. At number 2, we have Tidy Conclusion. It's not anything fancy, and it's kind of clunky. 5 mana is a pretty large amount of mana to have to leave up, but it is unconditional removal, and it comes with a little bit of gravy, gaining you some life for each artifact you control. And again, black can control a lot of artifacts because of Fabricate. It also helps that it's instant speed instead of sorcery, meaning you can get some blowouts with it. And at number 1, I have Die Young. This is just a very efficient removal spell, and it has a lot going on. For 2 mana, you can choose a creature. You get 2 energy counters, and then you can pay any amount of energy, and the creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn for each energy paid that way. Well, what that means is sometimes if you've built up even more energy than 2, you can pay 2 mana and kill like a 5/5, which is an incredible rate, and I don't think that's going to be impossible. Energy doesn't seem too difficult to come by in this format. And sometimes you can also just use it to kill a 2/2 for 2 mana. So it's good even in a deck that can't produce other energy, but in a deck that can produce a lot of energy, it gets to be kind of ridiculous. Well, that does it for today's limited review video for Kaladesh. If you have any comments, think there's some cards I left out, think there's some cards I shouldn't have included, let me know in the comments. Also, let me know if there's anything else you want to talk about with this format. If you found this video useful, don't forget to click the like button, and if you want to make sure you catch the rest of the Kaladesh Limited review and all limited reviews for future sets, as well as weekly draft videos in this format in a few weeks, don't forget to click the subscribe button. Thanks for watching.